If you're in your 20s and you're approaching your 30s, I really recommend watching this video because it's helped me change my life. And the phases and the blueprint that I'm gonna provide you right now has helped me tremendously in the last 4 years in business. And just to give you some context on myself, my name is Ibrahim. I'm the co-founder of Grow Big Ventures, which is a private equity consulting firm. What we essentially do is we take equity inside of businesses and we help them scale internally by providing them with tools, individuals that we hire, and we're pretty much the strategy behind business growth. Right now, I have a portfolio of about 6 companies generating about $6 million across all the 6 companies. And I've been able to scale that really in the last year. It hasn't been that long. And prior to that, I've created another company that I'm looking to exit by the name of Omni, and that's a 7-figure exit as well. And in the last 4 years, the only reason why I've learned exactly what I know right now as far as how to scale a business isn't by looking at my own business and doing things that I should be doing, but rather it's by watching successful people treat their business in a way that made me change my own thoughts and my own beliefs as to how business should be ran. Let me explain. One of the portfolio companies that we own is Growth Bridge Advisors. And Growth Bridge Advisors is a staffing firm that was built from another company called RightWorks, generating about $5 million a year right now. The CEO of RightWorks is a really close friend of mine right now. He's an older gentleman, about in his 50s. And a few months ago, we decided to do a partnership with them. We created a new LLC, and now we're helping them with their initiatives and essentially working with them to create a business that we don't need to step into anymore, that none of the founding individuals need to step into anymore, by creating a repeatable system through marketing, sales, and operations, really. And half of that battle is done. When we first started to get to know the founder and understand essentially what he's doing and adding the company into our portfolio and investing into the business, we got to learn a little bit more about John, what John was doing. John is a very interesting individual from a sense of wanting to scale really aggressively. And when we first started getting into business with him, he asked us, he said, how much money will it take to start sending 1 million emails? And we said, all right, give or take at cost is going to be around $2,000. 1 week he comes by before we even set up the system and he says, okay, I've thought about it. I want to send 2 million. Let's just double 4,000. Great, phenomenal. And now he's sending closer to 4 million and he's spending $10,000 on marketing before generating any revenue because it's a proven system and he trusts his process and he knows that if he spends X amount of money that he's going to get X amount of money back. And all he's doing is just laying back and investing the money, and he has my team working essentially for him to create that infrastructure. And essentially what I'm trying to tell you is that people that are really successful do more. And I love talking about more because if you're scaling your business really aggressively and you reach a roadblock, the answer is almost always more. It's not go and optimize, it's just more of what's already been working. And when I say more and talk about individuals that do more, I'm not talking like 2 times more or 3 times more. I'm talking about pure volume. I'm talking about 100 times more, 1,000 times more. If you're sending 10,000 emails a month, multiply that by 10, send 100,000. And then after you send 100,000, multiply that by another 10, then send 1 million, and then send 100 million emails a month. And that's the amount of volume that it takes these companies in order to be able to scale. A lot of the time, it really is as simple as that. Just do more of what already works. Other factors play into that, such as like customer satisfaction and making sure that you have a product that people like and a user base that actually enjoys your product. But naturally speaking, if you have an okay product, system, service offering, you do more, you're gonna make more money. That's what I'm trying to get a lot of people to understand, where it's like more is more. Less is not more, more is more. Don't overcomplicate it, just do more of what's already been working. And so if you're in your 20s or in your 30s, I'm currently 25 years old, again with a portfolio of about $6 million, there really should just be one thing to start. So let me explain. When starting any type of business, there's 2 types of time that you have. You have passive hours, and then you also have active hours. You should never start thinking about passive hours until you maximize the amount of active hours you have. And so if you put in X amount of time, you get X amount of money back. You have to start thinking of ways to leverage that existing time that you have by hiring people, building systems, putting things together. And the best way to think about that is, how can I never be on meetings? How can I build a business that never needs me? How can nobody that I'm talking to need me ever? And a lot of the time, it's just investing more into the business itself and bringing in A-level talent and individuals that can actually run the business for you. But the problem is, people don't want to spend that time and that money to train an individual, or rather hire somebody in that is really talented and really skillful to where they don't have to do more. And so the number one thing that you should be doing as a founder is just thinking. You have to just think. Think about what will make the business more money. Think about new ideas. Test those ideas at a smaller scale and then scale these ideas up. The number one aspect that I will recommend to each and every single person is after you've already maximized your active hours, find ways to make money using passive hours. I want to say, and I'm going to be very conservative here, I want to say there's no person in the world that can make more than $30,000, and if there is, it's a very, very small chunk, by working full-time without using a team, without using leverage. All this thing where it's like I'm a self-made millionaire, it's BS, it's not real. Nobody's a self-made millionaire. You have a team, you need a team, and without a team, you can't progress. Which brings me to my next phase. What is passive hours? Let's say you're, again, in your 20s and you've already worked and you've already made money. How do you start looking at passive income? You just gotta think, literally all passive income is leveraging other people's systems, tools, and knowledge to make money yourself. So now that you have money, because you've invested in your own time into your own business and you've had a lot of sweat equity built into your business, now you can go invest that time, money, knowledge, energy into another venture where you only need to spend a little bit of time and a little bit of energy, walk away and just let it do its thing. And the really interesting thing is, like, founders feel like they have to be there the whole time. But the thing that starts to happen is, let's say you build a new company and you're about 3 months in, you hire 4 people. What's going to start to happen gradually is these people are just going to start to get better. And people are just going to start to get better within your business to the point that you don't even have to go back. Because naturally speaking, if you have one person and that one person is working their butt off to make sure that they do the best job possible and they're learning a lot of information, imagine if you had 4 people that give feedback to each other. That's what you're looking to build. Let that sink in for a second. And that's why it's always been a volume game. I really just want to clarify on what volume means, right? If you hit a roadblock 90% of the time in your business, as mentioned, you just need to do more. And the way to do more is just figure out, as mentioned, what's already working. And so let me give you examples of what that might look like. Let's say you have a call center and you have 5 people calling different businesses. Let's say you're a roofing company and you have 5 people calling different homes every single day to bring leads for yourself, and that's a system that you built internally. All you gotta do is just leverage somebody else's time to do that job for you when it comes to being able to scale. So what that could look like is you bring in somebody inside of your team that has cold calling experience, that can call homes for your roofing company. You have them train the rest of the team and then also bring in individuals. And that person's sole job is to be able to bring in new people and help you scale your business, and they get paid a commission based on what the other people essentially close. That's one example. Now, if you're in the agency space, which I'm in the agency space, I use LinkedIn to get a lot of our leads. So we do direct outreach to potential clients and we do mass outreach. We send thousands of messages per day, every single day on LinkedIn, using various different accounts. And so what more looks like is simply just adding more accounts. And then when you add more accounts and you have more sales calls that are coming in, then you bring in salespeople. And where do you bring in salespeople? You bring in good, experienced salespeople, because you can't grow a business past a certain level if you have C-level talent or B-level talent. You need A-level talent, and the only time that you can accept B-level talent or C-level talent is if there's A-level talent on top of them. And even then, you shouldn't probably accept that. And one of the most interesting things is there's a company currently that we have had conversations with. Their name is Fanbasis. They're a company that wants to sell for $2 billion. In fact, I just got off a call with them today. Their goal is to scale their operations and to essentially scale their sales team in a way that doesn't overload them, essentially, where leads aren't booking days and days and days in advance. And so that takes a lot of time and that takes a lot of training. The interesting thing is I got to know almost the whole entire Fanbasis team. They're based out in Miami and we're having conversations with them. I got to know each and every single person on the team, and every single person not only knew exactly what they were talking about, but they were an expert in their department. When I say expert, I mean these guys knew how to grow the business. These guys have built their own businesses. They've built their own operations. They've done things previously in order for them to be at that level. And so when I say A-level talent, I'm talking A+ level talent. I'm saying these guys have done this in a way where it's bigger, better, and smarter than you can ever do it, and that's who you need to bring in. That's essentially what you're looking for. People get afraid to be investing money into things because they think that if they invest a certain amount of money, they're not gonna get a return back. And the problem is with business, you have to invest money because the way that business works is that the first 1 to 2 years don't even expect to be paid out. I've seen people start business 3 months in, 4 months in, even 6 months in, and actually generating money. If you're at that percentage level, just know that it's a very rare amount of people that make money for the first 6 months. So when you're going into business and you make no money, don't be surprised, because that's usually what's going to happen. And you should be okay with that not happening, because in your mind, you're doing a lot of work that you're unpaid for, that you're going to get paid for a lot later. And so when you're jumping into business, if you have the budget and you are able to bring in A-level talent, I'm talking really good individuals that do this job. I'm not talking good and maybe they have here and there, and like, you're talking they can do it 3 to 4 times better than you can. And I'm talking about every position, every department. Hire that person. Even if that means you don't make money that month or for the next 3 to 4 months, no matter how large your business is, hire that person. Grow Big Ventures, which is a company that I've built, we took it from $0 to $80,000 a month in 4 months. That's $20K in net new revenue added every single month. My profit off of that, I will be very transparent, I made a few $1,000s. That's it. A company that I own that makes $80,000 and I made a couple thousand. Why did that happen? Why did we even make that happen? Because we're investing a lot into testing. We're hiring people. We're paying thousands of dollars to bring in the right talent. We're making sure that the clients are happy, because we have a bigger goal outside of this. And so even if you are making money and even if you are generating revenue, if it's not a company that you want to sell in the next year, in the next 2 years, whatever it is, understand that you're going to have to spend a lot of money. And that's why companies like SaaS companies have a really large multiple at 12 to 13x multiple, because it's expected that they're going to be reinvesting everything and keeping very little profit. And the multiple is based on the profit that the company makes. I just want to go back and sort of iterate. More is more. I mean, this whole entire spiel of what I'm saying is that I'm telling you that more is more. If you take 100 sales calls, take 200. If you knock 50 doors, knock 100 doors. And I'm sure all of you guys that are watching this video know of who Alex Hormozi is. He does these videos where he helps business owners, and he asks these business owners essentially like, what are you doing in your business? And he tells them how to scale their business. And almost every time the answer is always, what's working for you? How much revenue have you generated through this channel? Okay, you've generated revenue, you're getting an ROI. Okay, great, do more. It doesn't take rocket science. And so you start to sit in this analysis paralysis phase of your business, especially when you're in your 20s and when you're a little bit younger, where you start to get afraid of investing. And it's like, okay, what if our profits are less? Great. If your profits are less this month, but they're gonna be 2 to 3 times the amount that you can ever make if you didn't invest, phenomenal, you just did a fantastic job. And the bottleneck should never be an ROI bottleneck. It should always be a team bottleneck, meaning that if you have the capacity to do more until your team can't handle it anymore. And then what you do is you do more training, you do more reps, you give them more information, you invest in consultants. That's what you do. And then you just repeat the cycle. Put more into channels, into acquisition channels, lead acquisition channels, client acquisition channels, whatever you want to call it. And then when your team gets overloaded, phenomenal, great, let's go hire more people, let's go. And it's gonna be this like never ending balance. And what that looks like, if I show you my Stripe account right now, and I show you the chart on the Stripe account, on our payment processor, it looks like it's a straight line of us not making any money, when in reality, we're just training the team and trying to get them up to par for the scale that we're looking to do. And then it just goes up again. And then when it doubles, like when the business goes up, it goes up by like 40% in a single month. In revenue, it goes up by 40%. And then it stays at 40%, and then boom, it stays and it becomes very stagnant again. Because as we're pushing and as we're doing the scale, the team has to catch up. And so more comes with its own caveats. And the more, again, volume that you do, the more that it becomes evident that you need to continue to do more volume. And so what that looks like in the real world is like, okay, if I want to be the best Olympian in the world and I want to have the fastest running time, the difference between the number 1 place and the number 2 place is a few milliseconds. And that's what it takes. But the difference that you see on a screen is a couple milliseconds. But the difference that you see when they're training and how hard they're training is massive. And so a lot of people look at the upfront numbers and they're like, okay, this company is not as big as it, but the reality is there's a lot of things happening in the background. And so for the love of God, if you're in your 20s and you're doing anything in your life right now and you're a person, and I always say this, don't take my advice and don't listen to what I'm saying if you're happy and if you're content. I'm telling this and I'm saying this to people that still want to build that business, that still want to scale their business, that still want to grow that big thing and prove other people wrong. And they have that drive and they have that hunger. And maybe even drive and hunger isn't the right words to use. Maybe contentment is the right word to use. Maybe they're not content with their current living situation and they want more and they want to do more. But if you're content with what you're doing and you're content with your life, then you're winning. And you shouldn't even be watching this video because you're happy and that's great. And you're doing better than 99.9% of the whole entire world out there. But for us that are not content with what we're doing right, and that's the right word, contentment, that's what you're doing. You're building that business. And so you don't have to listen to anything that I'm saying. In fact, don't even listen to what I'm saying. But if you're a part of that percentage of individuals that's currently at a bottleneck and not able to scale your business, just do more. That's all it takes. Again, my name is Ibrahim. I am the co-founder at Grow Big Ventures. If you're looking to build or scale your business and you want to find out essentially what channels or what strategies we've used to build and scale multiple businesses from the ground up and from not the ground even up, then contact me, go to growbigventures.com, or I have sessions just like these that I do every single 2 weeks where I sit down with a group of business owners, and it's a community of people that we have that sit down together and we simply just talk about business and talk about these business strategies. It's free. There's nothing, I'm not going to try to go sell you a course or anything. I don't have time for that. Go ahead and click that link and move over to the next step. Thank you.